Hi, this is Dia Damson, and today I am going to do a very short tutorial on painting a pomegranate, and it's a beautiful fruit. We have darker, deeper reds, and we have kind of a orangey and lighter red in here, and also we have a beautiful flower. And this one, I have been trying to hold it on and paint it. It's starting to even have a little bit of a brown. So it's a really cool, really interesting, actually not cool, really warm tones on that brownish that it's happening here. Really, really bright, really exciting colors. So this is what we are going to do. I was trying to pick between a lemon, a pear, or pomegranate, and we have done a pear, we have done the lemon, and this is I think one of the first ones that we have done. So here is our little model, and then there is the painting on a tiny canvas that it's like 4x4. I love this tiny canvases, they're great for gifts, but decided to change a little bit. I wanted to paint the pear again, but decided to switch to pomegranate, a little bit more interest, and I feel like it has more difficulty to it, but the principle will be the same. I have to position it somewhere where I can have the highlights and the shadows and expose what I want to end up on my canvas. Do I want this really beautiful darker, deeper reds, or more the orangey? And obviously few of the little flower things have broken, so I might decide to add or just leave them as it is, because that's what happens with that fruit. So I love it. I love to paint it and I love to eat it. So let's start and see where that's gonna take us. And also I'm going to be using a gel medium, which is brilliant, and it's thick and opaque, so it's clear. So I have to make sure if I'm mixing a color to mix them before I add the medium, because in the beginning when the medium is wet it's white. So I want to know exactly where I'm with my colors before I add it in, because that will make it look like it's a lighter color, but when it dries it's going to be clear, so it's going to take some of that color away. Let's have some fun. All right, let's begin. So here is my canvas, and I'm gonna reuse my palettes. This is from last week. It's very super messy, but that's okay. I think I'm gonna let it dry and peel off the paint. I added some paints here because I ran out of space. And the colors I'm using, it's red, orange. I'm gonna put a little bit of darker background, so I'm kind of gonna repeat this. And the reason why is simplify it, make the video faster. This brush wet, ready to go. I'm using a very soft pencil. This is for sketching, and probably it's a B6. My little pomegranate, it's going to be in the middle. So a lot of times when I'm sketching, I'll run my hand a few times over the canvas without really pushing down, and the next few circles I'll lower it and I will go around and position my object. Now I am going to see if I can put this little guy a little bit to the side. So this is our little top right here. There is going to be a shadow. My deeper colors are on this side. I have light right here. And now we're ready to start. Let's put a background. So I'm putting my table, I don't know if you can see very good. I'm putting my table a little bit higher. So I'm not staging my table right where my pomegranate fruit, whatever I'm painting is starting, but I am extending it a little bit higher, and it's going to be a dual dark background. Using a 3/4 flat brush, I am going to scoop out some brown, which is kind of starting to dry. Also with this brown, I'm going to scoop out that medium. It is so much fun to play with that. So do you see what I'm saying when it's making it a little bit less of a color because it's mixing with my color and it's making it less darker? But what's gonna give me on the end, this is a big scoop of dry color. What's going to give me on the end is that brilliant, that shiny look that you find in oils. And I used to paint in oils, it's just I give up on that. I don't have the time to clean and play around with the oils. So my favorite color, this is going to be ochre, if I can open it. Yep, the paint is very low, so I think I need to get myself a bigger jar of ochre. And also I'm gonna scoop some of that and I'll show you the consistency of the gel. So I'm gonna pull some of the gel out. Do you see how stiff that is? It's not going anywhere. Actually, my brush is shaking and that is not going. So I'm just gonna wipe it on one of the empty spots here so I can grab it when I need it. And that brush needs to go. All right. So I'm gonna take some of the ochre without washing my brush, and I'm gonna start applying also, scoop a little bit more of my gel medium. So it's going to be a really fast, big brush strokes, kind of. Let's put a little bit of a shadow right underneath. So where is my shadow? Light is coming from this direction, so my shadow is gonna be to the opposite side. So I'm going to put my shadow right here. I start putting my shadow on the wrong side. I forgot my little guy is just sitting right there. I can look at it. So I'm gonna take a little bit of the black and add that right underneath. Did not wash my brush yet. Add some of the gel. Take some white. Take some ochre, and I'm gonna start applying some of that. Take away, go a little higher, a little more ochre here, warm it up tiny bit, more gel. This is elementary comparing the painting I just did, so it's perfect if you're trying to experiment and see how you feel about painting. So there is our background, super fast. I went out of my borders obviously, but that's okay, because if I decide to frame it, I mat it or just put it in the frame, so it's going to get cut out. Everything that is on the outside, it's gonna get cut out. Let's add a little bit of black here, but also scoop some of that gel with me and add. I am doing big brush strokes and making it more simplified version of what will be if I am going in super details. So there is that. Background is done. Switching a brush. So I'm going to get it. We talked about brushes I think 2 weeks ago. So this is our filbert, and it's a 10. So it's a pretty good size filbert for what we needed. And I am going to get a red that looks like a cadmium red to me. And also I'm going to get that's the Chrisman red. It is darker red. It's perfect. So with the big brush strokes that I'm using, I don't have to worry so much about the tails. The only thing I need to worry is not to make it flat, because if you see our little object, do you see how we have areas that are indents and areas that are sticking a little bit more outwards? So by me not going in and making it flatter or flat, it will make it easy for me. I'm gonna steal a little bit of the other red, grab some of gel and go in, tiny bit of the orange, go in. Now there's areas where my background went inside my pomegranate, so I might have to touch that in and clean it. I'm kind of a messy painter, and that's okay. Okay, so let's add a few of those darker areas. Now, how do we darken red? We're gonna get a little bit of the brown and darken it. If I take too much, I'll just wipe it, not wash my brush, but I'll just wipe it. And I'm going to add. Now this area inside is kind of dark, so I'm going to just add a little bit of that. But now I need to wash my brush. Let's remove those two bits from here. So instead of me adding white to this area, because white and red is going to make pink, I am going to add yellow, azul yellow, and it's a very nice, beautiful yellow. And I'm just going to use that more for my toning down the red. So when you mix red and yellow, you're getting an orange. Let's get some of that here. And let's get some of the brown and give it a little bit more of a weight. Sitting down on the table. Switching to a smaller brush. I think this brush is a little bit too small. This is pretty much a half. And I am going to get a little bit of the black and add a tiny bit of the black in here. And again, I am not trying to be perfect. I'm not going around and making a smile all around. I'm just going to add a few specks or dots. Sometimes I'll wipe my brush and I'll spread it if it seems a little bit too strong, and I'll go around and pretty much do that. Adding a few little shadows here and there because our object is not perfect, it's not smooth. I'll take more orange, dirty brush, let's wash this, and no big deal. If that happens, it is not the end of the world, easily correctable. I'm going to take my white and just give it a little bit of cleanup here. I don't have to worry about that side, but the side that it's lighter, I just want a little bit, and it's like milky white because I think I'm using a little bit too wet of a brush. That's okay, because I'll wait until this dries a little bit and then I'll go over. Same thing, I'm gonna add a little bit of white on my yellow. Steal some of that gel, have fun with it, push this color outwards, take a little bit of the bright orange, add a few specks. So if you're noticing, I'm not really adding perfect brush strokes. I am bouncing around the object and just adding what it needs where it needs it. Let's add a little bit on the neck here because that is an important thing. Let's get a little yellow, and our yellow is opaque too, it's transparent. So if I need to add a yellow in certain area, let's say right here, and it's not working, I'll wait until it dries and I'll come back and touch up when it dries with white, and then I can apply my yellow to it. So there is this. I'll add a few specks here and there. I'll take my medium. I'll just apply that without washing my brush. Now I'll wash my brush. So on the top right here, what I see is, because that fruit has a thicker layer and I can see when it breaks that it has a little bit of white. So do you see it right here? So as soon as my element dries, I am going to add this tiny bit of a lighter color. So it's not white, but it's much lighter. And then inside, it's not just flat. That's the easiest thing to do. But because what we're gonna do is we're just gonna add darker dotting and filling in that area. And after that, we are going to go with a little bit lighter brown, mixing maybe brown with yellow or brown with white. And we're gonna add a few dots of that, and we're gonna create this beautiful inside. I lost my sight. I moved my object. Don't do that when you're painting. I'll find it because it was able to sit sideways. Okay, I think it's like that. All right. So I'm gonna take a little bit of the white, a little bit of the brown. Let's take ochre. Inside we have dots of dark. And once that dries a little bit, I'm gonna add the rest. But pretty much we are coming to a place where we can kind of stop and figure out what do we want to change. If we want to change anything, are we good? So do you see how I'm bouncing and twirling my brush in my hand and my fingers? And that is just a fun thing to do, and it looks great. I'm gonna add that little, oops. Okay, so I added too much water right here. So I'm gonna take my napkin and just touch down and take away. Now this is too wet for me to do what I wanted to do. So I'm gonna leave it for a few seconds, go around, add something else somewhere. I cannot turn on a blow dryer because that will not be a good sound for you guys. I'm gonna take a little bit of the white and a little bit of the ochre again. I'm gonna go inside here, add a few little elements just to look more like three-dimensional element, and right away you can see, and it's just two things that I did. Darker dabs, and then I went with smaller with the tip of the brush with lighter color. That was it. So we created the shadow and the light that gives us that three-dimensional element. So I'm going to come right here, take a little bit of the brown and give that pomegranate. Okay, let's get a little bit of the, too much water, Daniela. Okay, a little bit of the water out with the brush. Ochre. And now I'm creating this tiny little element. Also, when I do that, I have to make sure I'm adding a shadow underneath. So I added brown, and then I'm gonna add deeper red just to push that out. When I am doing that, I have to make sure I'm not losing the shape of that neck here. So I'm gonna add the neck outwards, red, a little bit lighter red right here, but it's happening. Also highlight right around this area, and if the highlight is a little bit too strong, I am going to use my fingers and dab a little bit, take away. Now you can do this with your brush, take a dry brush, but I like using my hands, so that is that. Okay, let's get a little bit of the white. I need a highlight right here. So this is the final stage where I'm going to add highlights in few areas where it makes sense that the fruit's going to have a highlight, and it's going to be pure light. Yellow. Actually, don't need that much orange. I'm going to take a little bit of red here and tone down my orangey color with a little bit of red. So I'm going to add a little bit of black right underneath, darker red right into my shadow. Plant this fruit down so it gives me a little bit of weight, not floating fruit but grounded one, because it's sitting on something. Let's get a little bit of a shadow right here. Just toning it down a little bit and changing. I am not happy with this area, so I'm gonna have to wait until it dries a little bit and just play around with that. I'm gonna add a little bit more of an end on my table right here. And then continue it down. And get a little bit of the darkness right above it. I'm using a very small brush. I don't know why. Don't ask me. Just because it was in my hands, and it's fine. You see the separation, how it works so much better. Let's see what color I can steal here to make it more interesting. Is it even showing? Nope, not showing. Our medium is really drying kind of fast, so I'm going to try to apply a little bit here and there. Perfect. I don't want to make everything exact. It's just I like when there is a lot more playfulness on the canvas. And all the paints are just having fun. And still too wet. Let's see if I can take a little bit. So I'm gonna take a napkin and kind of dry that up a little bit. And then add, my brush is wet too. And then add that lighter color right here. Somebody's having fun outside with their car. Also, to make this stand out, which is the neck, I'm gonna add a little bit more redness right on the top and pull it out and around. Creating a separation. I'm going to take a little bit of the white and add that highlight right here. Also right here, if it allows me, it's wet still. And right here. And the top. Pomegranate. Okay. A little bit of shadow right underneath. A little bit of the dark red. Just because we can. Love that red. And add a little bit of that orange here with the gel, so it gives me more of a lift on the paper. Let's add more of those leaves here on the pomegranate. The gel is starting to dry. It gives me a great thick background. It's gonna dry transparent, so I'm not worrying right now because it's giving me a little bit of a milky look, and it's okay. There it is. Let's go here. Gel. I think we're good. I think we are good. Let me look. Yeah. A little bit of the orange. Oops. What's up with me in water? A little bit of the orange right here, just to marry it together. And a few spots of darker red. Bigger, we made it smaller. So for Facebook, that took probably 15 minutes for us to paint it. We added another few minutes, like let's say 10 minutes or something like that. So it looks pretty decent. We're gonna end it right here and we are done. Thanks for watching, and if you like what you see, please give us thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next week, same place. Have a good one.